Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started with the Eldari in Warhammer 40,000 using the Harlequin Combat Patrol box set as a starting point. We'll then throughout the video look to expand upon the initial box and build a starting 1000 point army up from it. Harlequins, known as the Eldari lexicon as the Riltan. They're a member of a very distinct subgroup of Eldari species who belong to none of the existing Eldari factions, including the Asiani of the Craftworlds, the Exodites, or the Drukhari of Commorragh. They're the keepers of the Black Library and serve the enigmatic Eldari deity called the Laughing God. The Harlequins see no distinction between art and war, and their outlook can best be explained by reference to the legend of the fall of the Eldari. One of their self-appointed duties is to keep this legend alive through their performances. The central figure of Harlequin belief is Sir Gorak, the Great Harlequin, also known as the Laughing God. None truly know how the strange being survived the birth of Slaanesh, where the other gods of the Eldari pantheon did not. However, every Harlequin is firm in the belief that Sir Gorak escaped into the bounds of the webway, existing there still today behind myriad disguises and mocking she who thirsts from behind the veil. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest of the Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. And so, before we get into looking at what is inside the box set, we're first going to look at the Asiani, or the Eldari Army Special Rules. This main rule is called Battle Focus. Now, if your army faction is Asiani, at the start of the battle round, you receive a number of Battle Focus tokens based on the battle size as shown in the table we have here. Each time one of the triggers in the Agile Maneuver section below that we'll talk about occurs, we can spend one or more Battle Focus tokens to enable the relevant eligible unit to perform that Agile Maneuver. A unit is eligible to perform an Agile Maneuver if it has this ability and has not already performed an Agile Maneuver in the same phase. Unless otherwise stated, you can't trigger the same Agile Maneuver more than once per phase, and at the end of the battle round, all unspent Battle Focus tokens are lost. Now, there is a large variety of these different abilities we can do. Most of these are, as the name would suggest, going to be very movement based. We have things like Swift as the Wind, and this is the one that we can use multiple times that allows us to add 2-inch to the move characteristic of our unit. We then have Fleeting Shadows, which stops our unit being able to be targeted by Overwatch. Star Engines is a boost for our vehicles movement. Sudden Strike is when a unit selected to fight, we can actually make pylons and consolidations of 6-inch. Opportunity Seized, where an enemy disengages from us, allows us to make a normal move. And Fade Back means after our opponent's finishing shooting us with a unit, we can then move, stopping potentially a second unit shooting one of our units. All of these, as I mentioned, they are movement based. They're going to give us a lot of sort of agility and ability to react to things on the table, but also get to where we need to more importantly. Now, alongside this, we have the Disparate Paths special rule. When mustering our army, we can include Harlequin units in our army, even though they don't have the Asiani faction keyword, and then otherwise stated, you cannot select Harlequins or Yunari as your army faction. So, we generally are going to have this Asiani special rule. Working with the Harlequins, we're allowed to select Harlequins in the army, they'll benefit from these abilities. And so the model we have in the initial box set, leading it, or at least the character model within inside it, as this model cannot be our army general, is the Solitaire. The Solitaire is the Harlequin model that actually plays the role of She Who Thirsts of Slaanesh in their dances and performances. Now, the Solitaire itself is a pretty solid character. You do have a 4-up invulnerable save, though you are toughness 3 as you would expect for Eldari, but you have a nice move of 12 as well. Yes, this is an infantry model with 12-inch movement. The Solitaire weapons have precision and they're 9 attacks hitting on 2s with strength 6 and -2 AP damage 2, making them really great at taking out enemy characters. You've also got Fights First there, Lone Operative and Stealth for a bunch of different ways to protect your model during the battle. Now, Blitz is the main special ability we have here, where once per battle in your movement phase, instead of making a normal move, you use this ability, And until the end of turn, you add 2d6 to its move and add 3 to its attacks for its weapons. So it can be really fast. On average, you're getting 7 inches of extra movement, a move of 19, and it's just 3 attacks taking you to 12. You are going to take out a lot of things with it when you get this ability off. You've also got the cool ability of Blur of Movement, where you're eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced as well. So another way to get a bunch more movement into your model and just get it hitting up where you need it. The flip belt as well, it gives you even more benefits, where each time you make a normal move, advance, fallback or charge, so your main sort of movement, you can ignore vertical distance when moving as well, so you essentially fly when you're moving. This is just really good because this model is super maneuverable and wants to get rid of. With such a small base, it's easy to hide, it's easy to protect, and it's going to get up in your opponent's face relatively easy. Next though, we have the basic Harlequin unit, and this is the troop. When we play in particular detachments, this unit will become a battle line unit for the army as well, allowing us to take multiple of it in 6s rather than in 3s at your standard 2,000 point game. But Harlequins have a few different options on their troop. You've either got the ability to take Harlequin special weapons or Harlequin blades. For me, the fact that both of these are triggering with devastating wounds, you're probably going to want to go with the more attacks from the Harlequin's blades rather than the Harlequin special weapons. Even though they are strength 4, you're just looking for devastating wounds with so many hits in there. You've got shuriken pistols as standard, and you can take a couple of special weapons, fusion pistols, which are a short-range melter pistol, or neuro disruptors, which are anti-infantry weaponry. Now, they have the flip belt as well, much like the Harlequin Solitaire as well, which enables them to ignore vertical movement when they're moving around. But they also have Dance of Death, their own special rule. At the start of the fight phase, you select one of the following abilities. They can either reroll hit rolls of 1, add 1 to wound rolls, or subtract 1 from hit rolls for enemies attacking them. Rerolling hit rolls of 1 on a unit with 3s to hit, especially when you are fishing for dice, is probably where I would be looking most of the time. Unless you're trying to hold ground with them, they can make themselves -1 to hit as well, along with other things you can do with different stratagems and stuff like that. It can be a really good defensive unit with that invulnerable save they have of 4 up as well. Skyweavers next are the Harlequin jet bike, and you get a couple of Harlequins on top of a single jet bike, so they have 3 wounds each, a 4 up invulnerable save and a 4 up base save as well. You got the options of 2 main guns, the heavy weapon for them, either the shuriken cannon, which is a lethal hits 3-shot weapon, or an anti-vehicle skywire haywire cannon. This is going to give you devastating wounds against vehicles as well, which is really nice. Now you do have the option of taking a combat weapon on them called the Zephyr Glaive, which is strength 6, -2 AP and damage 2, or you can go for Star Bowlers, give yourself an extra couple of strength 7 attacks at range. For me, I do think that these models definitely suit best when they're playing around moving, so the shooting with the Star Bowlers is probably always where I would go upgrading them, and then really it is up to you whether you want the shuriken cannons or the haywire cannons, though I think the ability of the haywire cannons with devastating wounds is really nice regardless of sort of what you're shooting at. The acrobatic grace rule as well means these are just -1 to hit at all times, once again just making them really hard to shift. -1 to hit and a 4 up invulnerable standard is a good combo. The dedicated transport for the Harlequins is the Star Weaver, and we get one of them in the box set as well. Now, the Star Weaver has a 4 up invulnerable save, it's a 6 wound toughness 6 vehicle, so there's nothing too crazy about this thing. It's not that tough. However, it doesn't have firing dex 6, so a unit of 6 Harlequins that is transported inside it can shoot all of their weapons outside of it, which is really cool. And rapid embarkation means at the end of the fight phase, if there are no models currently embarked within its transport, you can actually pick up a Harlequin unit and put them inside it. This is really cool as it does enable your Harlequins, once they're shot, to go into the transport and give them that little bit of extra protection. Yes, the transport may die from whatever fire is going to come into it, but it does mean your Harlequins are not getting shot as much. And lastly, inside this initial box set, we have the Void Weaver. This is the Harlequin's dedicated tank, I guess you could call it. It is toughness 6 with 6 wounds and a 4 up invuln, so it is built from the same kit that the Star Weaver is. However, rather than transport capacity, it comes equipped with a heavy weapon. So this is either the prismatic cannon, which is probably my pick of the two. I like the fact that you've either got a 2d6 blast profile to deal with enemy hordes, or the strength 12 gun to deal with enemy armor. You do have the Void Weaver Haywire Cannon available on it, which is a 3-shot anti-vehicle devastating wounds weapon with damage 3. So pretty cool at taking out vehicles, but I still feel like the Prismatic Cannon is probably where I would lend to going. Now, you've got the polychromatic camouflage special rule, where the unit can only be selected as a target for a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 18 inch. This is pretty cool because you do have 24 inches on all of the guns on the weapon, so you're able to stay out of that range, force your opponent to either have to come to you. You've then got ways you can sort of move around and play with the sort of range benefit that you're going to have with this particular vehicle. And so where to go next, and the first thing that we're going to look at bringing in is a Death Jester. This is another Harlequin character. This model is a lone operative for your force, so it benefits from being around near other Harlequin units but doesn't actually join them. And it is a shooting sort of sniper character. You do have the Streaker Cannon, which is strength 6 minus 2 AP damage 2 with 3 shots at base and hitting on 2s. But then you've got the Cruel Amusement special rule, where you can either gain things like precision, ignores cover, or sustained hits 3. I think precision on this is pretty nice when you consider what you can hit. You can take out those toughness 3 characters really easy, making this great against other Eldar factions or things like Imperial Guard. Death is not enough as well, means in your shooting phase after this model shot, you can select an enemy unit and force them to take battle shot tests with a -1 as well if destroyed any models in the unit. It's going to be great at pinning down enemy units, great at sort of disrupting enemy plans and forcing them to not be able to use stratagems or control objectives as well. The Shadow Seer is then the other character we're going to look to bring in. A 4-up invulnerable save. This Psyker model for the army has some cool abilities. First of all, you've got the Fog of Dreams, where while this model is leading a unit, they have the 18-inch range rule that can't be shot, so unless your enemy's within 18 inch, they can't be shot, much similar to the Void Weaver we've already talked about. But Treacherous Illusion gives your opponent's melee weapons hazardous or while they're targeting this model's unit. This is a really powerful ability, making you not want to beat the charge target. Incredibly potent when you see it. Consider this when you have a shooting sort of benefit defensive rule as well to lead your unit, and then a defensive rule that's going to force your opponent to think twice about what they're doing when they're attacking as well. As a flip belt, much like most of the other models in the faction, it does have the option to be equipped with the Neuro Disruptor as well for a bit of anti-infantry shooting. So the last thing we're going to look to add to these initial box is going to be adding more troops to our units, and then also bringing in some more Skyweavers, giving us some more versatility on the tabletop and more bodies more importantly. Now for our list today, we are playing with the Ghost of the Webway detachment. This gives us Acrobatic Onslaught, where each time a Harlequin model from your army makes a charge move, they can move through enemy models. So not only are we ignoring vertical terrain, we're able to ignore enemy units when we're doing charges as well. The Traveling Player special as well allows us to take troop units as battle line, as we previously mentioned, and troop models in those units have objective control characteristic of 2 instead of the 1 they have. We can also include up to 3 models of the Death Jester, Shadow Seer and Troop Master normally, which we are restricted to taking in lesser numbers. Now onto Epic Heroes, we have the Solitaire. We're only allowed to take 1 of this model in our force. For characters, we've then gone with the Death Jester, who've given an enhancement called the Murder's Jest. This is only available to Death Jesters, and each time the bearer makes an attack that targets a unit that is below half strength, they score critical hits on every successful hit. This can be really good if we are targeting enemy units or hordes that we've already weakened down. Potentially getting those sustained hits on every single hit is going to be great. Now, we've then also gone for a Shadow Seer, which is going to be our Warlord. It's probably going to be stuck in our largest Harlequin unit, giving it a good amount of protection, and we've given the model a Neuro Disruptor as well. For battle line, we've then gone with 2 troop units. 1 unit that's going to be in the Starweaver has 6 models, and the lead player has a power sword. We've got Harlequin blades on the rest of the unit, and we've also got fusion pistols in there as well. This is going to be because they're going to be adding it much closer. The other troop unit has 12 models in it. The lead player has a power sword. We've got Harlequin blades again, but we've gone for the Neuro Disruptors as the pistol weapon upgrades for the unit. For dedicated transports, we then have the Starweaver to transport around our fusion pistol totting troop. And for mounted, we have 2 units of Skyweavers. We've gone with Skyweaver Haywire Cannons and Star Bowlers for the weapon options. And lastly, we have a Void Weaver with Prismatic Cannon. We hope that you found this video helpful in getting started with Warhammer 40,000, and that it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any further questions, please comment down below. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all of our future Warhammer 40,000 content.